He is always ready to read people around him. Above all, he is an expert on this subject matter. Professor Akinfeleye was one of the progressive and courageous lecturers who helped me during my 7-year stint as the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council of the University of Lagos. You all know the story of my tenure as the Pro-Chancellor of this great university. This was when the UNILAG campus was riddled with a cornucopia of problems, including, but not limited to, the outreach center in Korea scandal, where UNILAG certificates were being issued to people without the approval of the University Senate, ASU crisis, and student unions' restiveness. I have tremendous respect for him because of his forthrightness, downrightness, uprightness, maturity, and cooperation. Now, about the book. I congratulate Professor Akinfeleye for many reasons. I know as a fact that writing a book is not like writing a letter or writing newspaper articles. For Professor Akinfeleye to have successfully gathered the best and the texted in the media industry, which include his colleagues and former students, to contribute variously to write a 928-page about him, shows his popularity among his peers. I congratulate and commend you, sir. Your industry and sacrifice are commendable and will always be appreciated. Now, going to the state of education in Nigeria today. It is common knowledge that the country is in crisis. Nigeria is now faced with problems of underfunding of education, unpaid salaries, pensions, and other emoluments, badly depreciated naira vis-a-vis the dollar and pound sterling, huge external loan because of bloated loan portfolio, spiral unemployment, different shades and shapes of violence, kidnapping, armed robbery, poverty, grossly underfunded institutions, poor infrastructure, including deplorable road network. It is not an overstatement to say that education in particular is in crisis in Nigeria today. The United Nations recommends that every country should spend at least 26% of its yearly budget on education. In compliance, Canada spends 28% of yearly national budget on education. Ghana, our neighbor, spends about 30% of its budget on education, almost 9% of its GDP, currently the highest in the world. Unfortunately, however, despite perennial rhetoric by successive Nigerian governments on their plan to build world-class universities in Nigeria, they have consistently failed to meet the UNESCO funding benchmark. For example, in the 2017 budget, 448.01 billion naira was allocated to education, representing only about 6% of the 7.30 trillion budget. The percentage of budgetary allocation to education was further reduced in the 2021 budget. In the 2021 budget, only 5.6% of the 13.08 trillion budget was allocated for education, which represents the lowest percentage allocation since 2011. The perennial failure to prioritize and devote civilian resources to education has resulted in the underfunding of higher education institutions in Nigeria. Our universities simply do not have the financial wherewithal to compete with other universities around the world. Many of our universities struggling to meet their overhead costs. Talk of having a significant net annual income is so far away. This points to an urgent need for the Nigerian government to inject financial stimulus into all Nigerian universities to make them financially equipped and self-sufficient. I am using this opportunity to appeal to the federal government to pay all outstanding salaries to university teachers and fund education adequately. It is only when education is adequately funded that universities will be able to perform their statutory functions of quality teaching, up-to-date research, and impact the community. Now to today's book presentation. I congratulate Professor Akinfeleye and all the other contributors to this excellent work for putting their thoughts and experience into a book form for the advantage of all, particularly those in the media industry. I urge everyone present here today to appreciate that it takes a lot of time and money to author a voluminous book like this. I therefore urge you all to make generous donations in support of the book. Finally, Professor Akinfeleye is a firm believer in quality and functional education. His unwavering legacy of discipline, courtesy, decency, eloquence, and respect have endeared him to many in academia, the media industry, and the public at large. I wish the erudite professor more successes in life. I thank you all for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Boyega Oyewale, SAN. Please, another applause representing the chair. Moving on, we'd like to bring another dignitary to the eye table, distinguished guest, the President, University of Lagos Alumni Worldwide. He is the chairman of the best. Permit me to say that now. I'll have said Unilag TV was the best. Yes, but we have Dr. John Momo here with us. Please come on stage, sir. President, University of Lagos Alumni Worldwide. If you're clapping for Dr. John Momo, please, you can do better.
Alamu, let me also reiterate that Dr. John Momo, OON, is the chairman and the CEO of Channels Television. Let's give a round of applause. President, University of Lagos Alumni Worldwide. You are most welcome, sir. Well, as directed by the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ruben Abati, you are requested to please be on the level table. A round of applause for Dr. Ruben Abati.
Moving on, we have the son and the beautiful wife. As a matter of fact, they just got married months back. Mr. Tiwalola and Kikelomo Akinfeleye. Please put your hands together for them. All the way from the States, thank you for coming. We appreciate you. We now bring to the stage, to continue with the proceedings, a veteran I've always watched on television. His voice you're familiar with. Let's welcome Chairman BISCON Communications, Prince Dr. Bisi Olatilo. Put your hands together for him, please.
I'd like you to please put your hands together for this wonderful gentleman here. He came a while ago to speak with me and I said, I like your voice. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, for a great day like this, especially the man who's convening this gathering. And I'd like to also welcome here John Momo, my very good friend and colleague who started this business together. And when I came here and I saw channels, I said, this must be a live broadcast. Are we right, sir? Fantastic. But what BISCON does, we do after event broadcast, which means like tomorrow, you can watch all of this for about 3 hours of it. We've done this in the last, how many days now? When we have Unique Lag Nuga, we're covered. We did it the way I just said we'd do it. Only yesterday or 2 days ago, the VCO also had a book launch here. We did that and we showed it the way we normally do. And this one, we're also going to do that. But on top of it, because Prof is somebody I admire so much, who has done so much for radio, for television, for newspaper. I said, I was supposed to have traveled out of Lagos, but I said, I'm going to stand it down for this. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be here. And we go forward by inviting the chairman who has hardly slept a wink in the last 2 months, putting all of this together. He's been coordinating it. Somebody I admire so much in the sense that he balances modernity with tradition. You can't talk about Ojudioba without him. He has taken Ojudioba to the international space. Ladies and gentlemen, how much speaking about? Chief Fasi A. Yusuf, PhD, Chairman of the organizing committee of today's event.
Thank you very much, my friend. BC. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'd like to recognize the presence of the chairman of the event, our Papa, Are Afe Babalola, founder and chancellor Afe Babalola University, Ado Ekiti. The chief presenter, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is ably represented here. I'd like to recognize my big brother and the man we look up to in marketing communications, Dr. Biodun Shubanjo. I recognize the presence of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, ably represented by my brother, Professor Lucian Shuku, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Management Services, the immediate Vice Chancellor, my brother, that we had the opportunity of serving Ogun State together, Professor Rahman Adekambi Adisa Bello. I recognize my colleague that we work on this project together, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University, Kachare, Professor Umaru Pate. I recognize the representative of the Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University. May I also quite well recognize the presence of my comrade that we are doing a lot of things together. My brother, Dr. John Momo Owen. He is the president of the University of Lagos Alumni Association Worldwide, and I happen to be his vice. When I talk about vice, I'm not talking about vices. Then my sister, we call her, okay, let me reveal it. Those days, we call her Abyss. She's now a top politician, Ajia Abike Dabiri Arewa. Ni Erugbogbo. I recognize our uncle here, Dr. Adekunle Salu. He's well advanced in age, but he's still very young at heart. So if you see him, you cannot say that he's approaching 90. Papa, you're welcome, sir. I recognize the head of the Department of Mass Communication, Professor Tejumaye. You're welcome. I recognize my brother in journalism, Chief Benga Adefaye, who is wearing so many caps. The editor-in-chief of Vanguard newspapers, Provost, Nigerian Institute of Journalism. And there are so many other people here that I would love to mention, but time is definitely not on our side. Let me recognize our students, my students, the great communicators. Greatest of the greatest, greatest of the greatest of the greatest, greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. Well, I'm supposed to open the stage by giving the opening remarks, but so many things have been said that I would not want to kill those issues. But importantly, let me say that the idea of having this compendium of essays in honor of our big brother, a teacher of teachers, and a man who is so restless that most times he will have been airborne before telling me that I'm out of the country. I've had the opportunity of traversing the world with him for WJEC from Singapore to South Africa, from there to Canada, from there to France, from there to New Zealand. But for COVID-19, well, I've been thinking of being in China now. So when he was retiring from the university, we thought of what we could do to at least acknowledge his contributions to the society. Because here is a man who has succeeded in bridging the gap between the town and the gown. Professor Relm Akinfeleye did not only supervise my PhD thesis, we have been friends for close to 40 years. I remember in 1988 or 89 when I was Secretary General of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
Recording in progress.
We brought him there, and ever since he has been a friend of ours, and he later became a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, just as well as he's a fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. By the way, I think Ruben will not forgive me. Let me recognize my brother, a literary giant, a man that book reviewing is incomplete without his input. He was chairman of the Guardian editorial board. He was chief press secretary, and so many more. Now he's a regular face on Arise TV. Dr. Ruben Abati, I'd like to welcome you. 5 of us worked on this project, and with your kind permission, I will invite them to the stage for them to take a bow. May I invite my brother, Professor Layosho, please come forward. Come forward, just come forward. Professor Abigail Ugwesi Indisika. I don't know if Professor Innocent Okoye is around. Is he around? Okay, we're still expecting him. And the last, by no means the least, Professor Umaru Pate, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Kashed. Five of us are the editors of the book. We all
Recording in progress.
have so many stories to tell about the book, but above all, we give God the glory. Please, can you help me to acknowledge these gentlemen? You know, in journalism, just as we have in the legal profession, there's no female, it's just gentlemen, all of us. So, you might see her in skirt, but she's a man. Yes. She was our HOD, I mean Department of Mass Communication, and she's well sought after. She's also a consultant to the Guardian newspapers and other international multilateral agencies. Can you please acknowledge my sister here? Jointly, we have come out with a 928-page book. We have over 40 chapters. And some of those people on this side also contributed, including my friend John Momo, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, and I think the Dean of School of Communication, Lasu, and many others who are in this all contributed to making the fourth estate of the Relm, the fourth and fifth, issues in fourth and fifth estates of the Relm, what it is or what you'll be seeing pretty soon. Once again, on behalf of the editorial committee, I'd like to welcome you all and to wish that you continue to pray for the honoree so that he will continue to excel. Of course, you know, he's a council member representing the African continent on the World Journalism Education Congress, of which I also happen to be a member. He's not slowing down, and I continue to wonder. He talks about me, and I talk about him. Who doesn't rest? Is it you or me? But at least you get to know much later. Once again, good morning, or good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Chief Dr. Fasi Yusuf, Chairman Festschrift Committee, for that opening remarks. In an auspicious occasion like this, you always have dignitaries to recognize, and with the kind permission of the level table, I just want to quickly run through some of the names we have here. The Vice Chancellor, Covenant University, will be represented by Professor Dokun Omojola. A round of applause for him. Former Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of Lagos State University, Ojo, our very own Professor Nino Lowo. A round of applause for him also. We also have here representative of BON, the Executive Secretary, Adeniji Bailey Shegun. A round of applause. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. The Lagos Zonal Director, NBC, representing DG NBC, Dr. Chibike Ogumike. A round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. And we have Mr. Larry Arogundade, former NANS, NUJ, Lagos, and Director, International Press Center. Is also here. A round of applause for him. Mrs. Motunayo Alaka, Executive Director, Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, also here with us. And I see you, Professor Ologbenla. That is the size of the package.
Now, would have been telling an incomplete story if we didn't announce with a big, in fact, if we can pull the roof down with applause to welcome Mr. Ray Ekwu here, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people say, yes, they watch the BOS and so on, they like the way we write. You taught me how to write, sir. Must tell you that. I was reading News Watch regularly. And at times, it's almost like lifting what you wrote in my own way. May God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Before I hand over to Lamu, a member of management just walked in. There are several librarians, but you have to put article THE to our own. The University Librarian, Professor Yetunde Zaid, CLN.
You're welcome. I remember when the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos gave remarks to a particular man. The way you celebrated the man, I was not impressed at all. Distinguished guest, the next man I'm about to invite to the podium, but before I do that, I would like his wife to please come on stage. The wife of Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, Mrs. Akinfeleye, Chief Mrs., please come on stage. If you are clapping for her, you can do better, please. Chief Mrs. Carol Akinfeleye. Right now, thank you, welcome, thank you. Moving on, the first Nigerian and African to be inducted into council member in World Journalism Education Congress. He is the former chairman and head department of mass communication, the Jagaban of mass communication in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we rise and give him a standing ovation? Keep clapping. Let's welcome Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye. Keep clapping till he gets here, please. Can we give Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye 3 doses? 1, 2, 3, go!
Good afternoon. I say good afternoon. Great communicators. Great communicators. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. Great. My task is to give what they call remarks. But since we are at the moment operating under a sustainable democracy, I cannot go ahead with my presentation. I want to make it participatory. I have with me about 32-page remarks. Therefore, if I'm able for me to go ahead with the 32-page remarks, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I heartily welcome you to this occasion. I don't know whether to stand or sit or lie on existing protocol. There are so many people, so many important dignitaries here that I cannot recognize. They have recognized them. And my Lord, after the judgment in court, what do you say, sir? You simply say, I concur. So I concur with all the sentiments and all the recognitions. I thank you. But there's a sister here, I think it's around here, Barrister Harriet Ashalu. You see Ashalu? Okay. That's the wife of our Lord Bishop and the former Vice Chancellor Ajayi Crowther University. Oyo, is here. She's my sister and also a sister to our Lord Archbishop Humphrey Bamishebi Olumakaye from the center of the universe. That is a city that is naturally fortified with rocks, mountains, and hills. And that city is called Idare in Ondo State. I take this time also to recognize the president of Highlanders Club, Engineer Mike Akinjo, came all the way from Ibadan. Thank you very much. And other members of the Highlanders Club, I greet you. Other members of the Akinfeleye dynasty, I wish you. Ẹ̀wẹ́ máa ṣe o, àìṣe lójú màá tì, ẹ̀wẹ́ ṣe o bà mí. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. I was just thanking everybody, but I have to do that. That's our national local anthem. the chairman of the occasion, the father of the day, chief presenter of the day, our most senior media professionals, captain of the industries, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, principal officers of the University of Lagos present, the lawmakers and lawbreakers that are hereby present. He didn't comment on that one. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the Fourth Estate of the Relm are not members of the Fourth Estate. Publisher, Mr. Ifosa of the University Press, wherever you are, I greet you. The second take is to publicly acknowledge those who have one way or the other contributed to my academic and professional career. They are so numerous, right from the high table to the low table and over there. I thank you. The third one is to let you know that this event marks the final touchdown after more than 3.5 decades of meritorious services to the University of Lagos, serving as a lecturer, a researcher, educator, professor, and until recently, media consultant to University of Lagos Radio 103.1 and Unilag Television, the first of its kind in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a Festschrift, according to Google Scholar in academia, is a book written by respected colleagues and academics, researchers, to honor an icon of theirs. And this must be done when he's alive. And thank God, Professor Akinfeleye is here direct and alive. I thank you for doing that for us. Thank God that you are not doing a 1 moment silence in memory of somebody. We're here live and direct. I congratulate Fasil Yusuf, who is no longer a goal-getter, but a goal scorer. He has scored so many goals. And also his colleagues who helped me, Professor Layosho. Thank you, sir. Professor Umari Pate, my good friend, I thank you. And when he makes an announcement about me, he will tell you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this man, you must have read his book, or somebody must have taught you, or somebody is supervised, somebody is recommended, and somebody to somebody. He's a popular man. I thank you for that comment. Abigail, the professor, I thank you for keeping the flag going in the Department of Mass Comm. Professor Innocent Okoye was a DVC in the Situation Center when he was here with us. He's now in Abuad. I think he's on his way. We couldn't launch this book or present this book before now because of the following reasons. One, the COVID-19 pandemic. Two, the inability of the contributors and manuscript assessors, who are very tough, to meet the agreed deadline. I happened to look at one that was edited by Professor Osho and Professor Umari Pate. When Fasil gave me the manuscript, ladies and gentlemen, the manuscript was bleeding. The manuscript was bleeding. So I want to thank you for the excellent work you have done. The third reason why we're here, and because of the delay in the publication due to unnecessary delay by the publishers due to poor equipment in their offices. The last part here is the University of Lagos SACA that took the university unprepared. There was a terrible turbulence in this university. It was not only relating to Harmattan haze, but was a severe turbulence with heavy thunderstorm. But we thank God, we were able to navigate and get into a comfortable altitude. The University of Lagos landed. Thank you very much. We wish you to thank the President of this country and those who were involved in making the University of Lagos stable. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in 2003, I delivered my inaugural lecture right here in this auditorium. Perhaps it was not this podium, it was a wooden podium. People have marched. And the title of that inaugural lecture, Fourth Estate of the Relm, or Fourth Estate of the Wreck, the imperative or social responsibility of the Nigerian press. Fourth Estate of the Relm, or Fourth Estate of the Wreck, the imperative or social responsibility of the press. And after recession, and to the extent for media convergence and its implication in democracy, the take up on that inaugural lecture is that if the media people are able to adhere strictly to their ethical consideration, they will remain as loyal opponents and loyal members of the Fourth Estate of the Relm. But if they deviate from the professional and ethical consideration in their practice, they will quickly metamorphose into being members of the Fourth Estate of the Wreck. They will not only wreck themselves, they will wreck the institutional affiliation and also the society they serve. Today, after research and the convergence, I believe that the other name for democracy, whether it's the nascent democracy or homegrown democracy, is a free press. There cannot be any sustainable or participatory democracy without a free press. Therefore, government at all levels must factor this concept in their developmental agenda for meaningful and sustainable democracy to occur. Government should not try to padlock the air, to obstruct birds, only the wicked birds that would like to padlock the air and obstruct other birds from flying. The press, both the mainstream, the social media, should continue to serve and remain loyal members of the Fourth Estate of the Relm and never members of the Fourth Estate of the Wreck. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the Fourth Estate of the Relm, you already know them, right? Includes the print, the radio, and television. But members of the Fourth Estate, the Fifth Estate, it's not known to us. It appears it's nebulous, perhaps confusing from both its conceptual and structural frameworks. Some scholars have argued that members of the Fourth Estate of the Relm or members of the Fifth Estate of the Relm are the social media people, plus or minus we the people. Others say there should not be any Fifth Estate of the Relm. But are the social media people journalists? Do they practice journalism? Do they have any training, whether on the job or otherwise? To say the least, ladies and gentlemen, I call them information traffickers. They traffic on fake news and items that lack surface credibility. Will you keep the Fifth Estate? No. It's my candid opinion both the Fourth Estate and the Fifth Estate must work simultaneously to bridge the gap. Issues in the Fourth Estate of the Relm, Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, The answers to this question posed, whether the Fifth Estate should remain or not remain, or should be no agenda for the Fifth Estate, or merge Fifth Estate with Fourth Estate. The answers are contained in the book you are about to read, Issues in the Fourth and Fifth Estate of the Relm. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely thank you for coming and adding value to the pedagogical purity to this occasion. Happy reading. God bless all of you. And I thank you for honoring me today. As you honor me, God will honor you. As you honor me, God will preserve you. As you try to lift me, God will lift you up. The Lord will be with you. He will keep you. He will make his face shine upon you, now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you very much and kind attention. Great communicators. Great communicators. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest. Great. Great. Thank you.
Well, I thought...
MC, sorry. Somebody came in while I was making my speech. Kabiyesi, Femi Ogunleye, happened to be one of my distinguished students in those days. You have to prepare well to go to that class. They are way ahead of the lecturers if you are not ready. And I just returned from the US with my small polo shirt. But these people are just over there. And he's not tired. He got an LLM after that. He's now working on PhD. Where? In Bangkok. Very soon he'll be Doctor of Philosophy in Law. Congratulations, sir. Kábíyèsí o, kádé pẹ́ lórí o, kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀, ìrùnkà dábẹ́rẹ́, kí lẹ mí fọ́ bá pè ọba o, ọba láṣẹ, ọba kí lẹ mí fọ́ bá pè ọba o, ọba láṣẹ, ọba. Thank you.
Well, for those of us who didn't know, let me escalate it, let me say it loud and clear that he came into journalism by accident. If he had his way, he would have been a pilot or structural engineer. So he now said he wasn't going to go to school until there's a university that can produce graduates in journalism. That's why he chose to travel abroad to do that. So many things to say about this man. Members of his family will have bishops amongst them, will have reverend fathers amongst them, but he stood out as a success story, a global champion in journalism in the broadcasting space. Your hands please together for him again. Thank you.
Prince Dr. Bisi Olatila, well done. It is a privilege really to be on the same podium with you. Well done. Quickly, I'd like to recognize the presence of a man who has spent over 60 years in journalism. Former GM Sketch Press, former provost of NIJ. Let's welcome Chief Dayo Dule. Please put your hands together for him. Any other recognition before we move to the next?
Thank you very much, Lamu. Professor Akinfeleye eulogized the Oba, but I think it behoves on me to let you know who he is. His Royal Majesty Oba Barrister Olufemi Ogunleye Towulade of Akinale Arole Olowu Owu Kingdom. Kádépẹ́ lórí, kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀, káṣẹ pẹ́ lẹ́nu, kí àwọn olórí kan sì máa gbẹ̀bí. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information and Strategy in Lagos State, Mr. Olushino Thorpe, is also here with us. A round of applause. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Professor Ologbenla is also here with us. A round of applause for him. Thank you very much. He had to leave a professorial interview to be here with us. The chairman, University of Lagos Sports Council, is also here with us. Professor Solomon Akinfeleye, you are duly recognized.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Okay. In now you're beginning to see the wisdom in having us doing something like a combination of masters of ceremonies here. They know University of Lagos inside out. So I'll bring my own knowledge of the various publics that I also have interacted with, still interacting with, so we can balance all of this. And we're doing that very well, even if we have to score our own selves for now. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the realms of goodwill messages. The HOD Mass Communication, University of Lagos, Professor Adepoju Tejumaye, will please give us a remark at this point.
Yes, thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, sincerely, my Oga said he concurred, and that's Professor Akinfeleye. But really, if I began to mention the distinguished gentlemen and ladies that we have here, I'm sure you will agree with me that some will have distinguished times 2. Some will have distinguished times 3. And some will even have distinguished times 4. So therefore, with your permission, and with no intention to step over bounds of modesty, I wish to stand on existing protocol, and more so to conserve time. Yes, the title is Issues in 4th and 5th Estate of the Realm. Okay, my name is Adepoju Tejumaye. Not Tejumade, it's Tejumaye. So, issues in 4th and 5th Estate of the Realm. You're laughing? Let me tell you, I said Adepoju Tejumaye, so I cannot Tejumade again because I have Adetotipoju. So, you understand? So, therefore, if I Tejumade, then Otidoju Kokoro. You understand? So, sincerely, there's no doubt, I had just a little presentation. I'll try and read it, and I'll also speak to it one way or the other. There's no doubt that a disordered society is a disaster. I'm sure you will agree with me with that. The realization of the aforesaid brought about the concept of the estate of the realm. Hence, the much talk about 4 estates of the realm, which are the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and the mass media, in that order. Note that estate of the realm differs slightly in arrangement from estate of democracy. So in estate of democracy, the legislature comes first. But in estate of the realm, the executive comes first. Whichever way you look at it, the media retain its 4th position as the 4th estate of the realm. According to Nemo and Combs, 1992, he said, political pundits constitute the 5th estate. Don't forget the title is Issues in 4th and 5th Estate of the Realm. My Oga, Professor Akinfeleye, has made allusions to the 5th estate. I'm sure you are quite conscious of the 4th estate, which is the media. But what constitutes the 5th estate? According to Nemo and Combs, he said, political pundits constitute the 5th estate. Cooper, 2006, argued that bloggers are the 5th estate. Similarly, Dottin, 2009, stated that the 5th estate is not simply the blogging community, nor an extension of the mass media, but comprises network of individuals enabled by the internet. I repeat, enabled by the internet. So, whatever way you look at the 5th estate, what is apparent includes the fact that the 5th estate is a socio-cultural reference to groups of outlier viewpoints in contemporary society. The estate comprises, that is the 5th estate now, comprises journalists and non-journalists publishing in non-mainstream media outlets, such as bloggers, and of course, the social media, those publishing in the social media. Of course, I believe you agree with me that today, everybody calls himself or herself journalist. Just have access to the technology. You can put up something and people are going to, you garner followership and you call yourself journalist. But are they really journalists? I believe those are some of the issues that were addressed in the book, in the 900-page book. There is overabundance of issues associated with the existence of both the fourth and the fifth estate of the realm. The issues are varied and are multidimensional. Of course, the issues are sometimes associated with the nature of the media, that's technical issues. They can also be, qualities imposed by the society. Those are the ones we call social issues, social qualities. And of course, some of the issues are derived from the way mass media are used. Those are physical qualities. And the issues are so many. They include functions and dysfunction of the mass media, the modus operandi of the media, the entry qualification, the contents of the education, you understand, the content, that is the curriculum that we implement, responsibility of the media to society, responsibility of media to democracy, to children, to the less privileged, and what have you. The issues are also about regulation or non-regulation of the mass media space. The issues are also about mass media and national security, mass media and cognition, mass media in entertainment, mass media in socialization, mass media in organizational behavior, mass media in governance, mass media in democracy, mass media and children identity development, mass media influence in parenting, the influence of the media on our lives, on the individuality of our lives, so many of these issues. So all these issues, among several, are adequately examined in the 900-page book in honor of Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye, whom we all know to be one of the great minds of communication and mass communication in Africa. As a matter of fact, referring to Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye as a colossus in communication and mass communication scholarship and practice is making an obvious statement. I'm sure you will agree with me that of all the teachers of mass comm in the Nigerian University of today and in Africa, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye's contribution in the training of journalists is outstanding. Prof deserves, please, a round of applause for our guy. Professor Akinfeleye deserves commendation and honor. Without equivocation, sir, without equivocation, you are the teacher of teachers. A round of applause, sir, man. Yes, Prof is the teacher of teachers. And today, I may bold to say that journalism and mass communication history in Nigeria and Africa will not be complete without mentioning Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye. Sir, I may bold to also say that you are a significant part of the global history of communication and mass communication. A round of applause, please. So therefore, on behalf of the Department of Mass Comm of the University of Lagos, which you served without blemish for decades, I humbly say congratulations, sir. Yes, you came, you saw, you conquered. He won. He won significantly. Your contributions to the making of men and women in today's journalism, and even beyond journalism, talking about advertising, all those, adjuncts of the media that we all know, your contribution is enormous. And this can be found in the fact that you have men and women that you have trained, that had been trained by you at the Department of Mass Comm, and even in one or two other three universities that you consult for. The Almighty God continue to beautify your life, sir. The only one who said, I am the God of all flesh, continues to be your shield and armor. Sincerely, with due respect to you, sir, and with no intention to step over bounds of modesty, I say congratulations, sir. I've been so opportune not to be taught by Professor Akinfeleye alone. The Akinfeleye taught me. Mrs. Akinfeleye taught me in HSC, in CMS Grammar School. So therefore, I am one of the privileged few to have been taught by both husband and wife. And today, I am the head of the Department of Mass Comm. Glory be to the holy name of the Almighty God. My dear sir, you will continue to be with us. You have contributed and you are still contributing. You are not tired. You will not be tired, sir. We'll continue to learn from you. And just like I said, the maker of all things will continue to be your shield and armor. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's a season of love, affection, accolades, encomiums. Let's keep them coming. Let's not hold back. But let me say this, and I mean it from the depth of my heart, that the greatest achievement that he has in his name is that he single-handedly fought gallantly for the establishment of radio and television station in the University of Lagos. Why am I saying that? My whole life has revolved around radio and television. That's my life. So thank you very much, sir, for having done that. He's highly connected, very brilliant, and very honest and unassuming. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a lot of people here who need to also say their minds. How has this man touched you? From what perspective are we looking at it? But before my colleague comes on, I also see here Eric Teniola. Thank you very much for honoring a friend of yours. Eric is over 70, but is looking like a 60-year-old. That's what journalism and broadcasting does to you.
Thank you. When the HOD was actually speaking, he said Professor Akinfeleye taught him, the wife taught him as well, he became HOD. For those of us that did not pass through Akinfeleye, and for you that you're here, it means your first class or your 2-1 is not authentic. All right? Because you failed to pass through this man. All right? But anyways, it deserves another applause. Let's put our hands together, please. Quickly, because of our time, we'll take goodwill messages, 2 minutes each. I'd like to invite the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos. Let's welcome the 11th Vice Chancellor, Professor Rahman Bruno. Please put your hands together, please. For those watching online, we recognize you. Keep sending text messages. We'll read them as we continue with the program. Thank you.
The chairman of this event, the presenter, and all the distinguished guests on the high table, including the Vice Chancellor's representative. I'm not a mass communicator, so I can just say I adopt the existing protocol established. However, the honoree of today, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, is a man that has touched my life significantly before, during, and after my tenure as Vice Chancellor of this university. you can see him that is always restless. Even as the honorary of today, he can't sit down somewhere on a table to be honored. He would like to take over and be the MC of this event if he can. That is a rap for you. My first encounter with Ralph, and I want to tell us that unless and until you get close to him and work with him, you will not know the real man, Ralph. And my first encounter with him was upon the establishment of the Center of Excellence in Mass Communication and Cinematography at the department. I was then a deputy vice chancellor in this university, and the vice chancellor directed me to go and chair the board of that center as required by the sponsors. And I recall then that the chairman of Channel Television will remember Prince Momo was also on that board, along with a couple of others. And we had to work with Professor Akinfeleye to ensure that the guidelines of the sponsor of the center were adhered to in total. And I want to say that Prof did an excellent job and made this university very proud. Moving on from there, he was able to establish a very big contact with Bloomberg. And was that Bloomberg initiative for Africa, which involved 4 universities. And University of Lagos was one of the 4. I think we had the thing in 3 countries, 2 centers in each country, 1 mass comm department or institute, and a business department in another institution. In Nigeria, it was Unilag and the Lagos Business School, and we had to combine to create the center in Nigeria. But when the conference was held in South Africa, Ralph ensured that I, as Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, was the one that spoke on behalf of all the 6 institutions. That is him for you. He will not take a second seat. He will not take a second chance. He will want to be in the lead. When we were about to set up the television for the University of Lagos, it revolved from him to ensure that he got it through. He had so much obstacle. He consulted widely, went around so many times to Abuja, to alumni of UNILAG all over in communication, and it was proving so difficult for him, but at last he was able to achieve that. So he's an achiever by all means, and he doesn't get a no for an answer. That is Ralph Akinfeleye. So I want to congratulate you today that you have been honored while you are still alive. And as I have said, we that are here with you today want to congratulate you and ensure that God will continue to be your protector. You will enjoy good health for the rest of your life. I will pray that today will just be the beginning of good things in your life. I'm happy to be with you here today, and I thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, former Vice Chancellor, Professor Rahman Bello. Quickly, we'd like to recognize the presence of Professor Akin Oshibogun, former CMD LUT. Put your hands together, please. Chairman, NIPR Lagos Chapter, here represented by the Vice Chairman, Mr. Samuel Ayetutu. You're welcome. Mr. Lake Oshote, I recognize your presence as well. Bisi Olatilo, you may go ahead. Permit me to call you Bisi Olatilo now.
first name basis when you're on air. And I know that John and Abike will be saying yes to that. Now, I have said this everywhere that I have the opportunity to say this. I want to say it again with a lot of pride. The man I'm about to introduce is the man at the helm of affairs at the television station that I call the reference point for how modern-day television broadcasts should run. I feel nostalgically happy to remember this, that in 1993 and 1994, we both stood on the stage to be honored with the Nigerian Media Merit Award, 1993-1994. What that meant was that we were the best in the whole country then. He was holding sway on television, I was balancing up on radio. And we became members of the Vision 2010 committee, which Chief Ernest Shoneka was chairman of. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the President, University of Lagos Alumni Global, my very good friend, Dr. John Momo OON. Highly proud of what you're doing. Thank you.
The great B.C. Olatilo is a very good friend of mine, actually. What he didn't say is that when we got that award, we were the pioneers. Both of us, yes. The Pioneer Awards were given to us. I mean, it was the inaugural awards for the best performers at that time. Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Akinfeleye, the honoree, my great leader, Egmont, and a man that I cherish very much, Dr. Biodun Shobanjo. My vice president is here, I must recognize him too. The great Lucien, I love his first name, Lucien. That's a very good name actually. But he's very cerebral, he's a great man. Professor Pate, good friend of mine. We're going to hook up in Kano in a couple of days' time. And Abix, I call her Abix, Abike, we were in school together in the mass comm department. And of course, I must recognize Ruben Abati. But indeed, I must say that I'm very delighted to be here this afternoon. It's only a man like Professor Akinfeleye who would bring the creme de la creme of the journalism industry in Nigeria together under one roof. And so when the names were mentioned and you heard names like Ray Eku, Eric Tenniel, I haven't seen them in a while. It's only you, sir, who can bring them together. And I'm really very elated. So it's good to be here today to share this auditorium with you and to give a brief remark about the man that we've come to honor, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye. I had something down which was written some time back, which still holds true to him today. Professor Ralph Akinfeleye is a teacher, we all know that. He's a teacher's teacher, a scholar, an administrator, foremost mass communication expert, and journalism maestro. He taught me, he not only taught me and helped me graduate, he taught my wife and helped my wife graduate. So from whatever vantage point you might know him, Professor Akinfeleye is a mass communication expert and colossus of African journalism. Indeed he is. He is exceptional in so many ways. He's very intelligent. His intelligence is matched by his unassuming personality. And that makes him a rare breed. He possesses an extraordinary ability as a scholar and has an outstanding penchant for descriptive language. He once described those at the villa as being attack dogs, and the name caught on. Those who had the knack of criticizing the guys who were putting them under the searchlight. And of course, the very interesting phrase about the fourth estate of the wreck and not the realm. You know, his classes, as far as I remember, were the most exciting and always well attended. We always looked forward to it. He was a consummate teacher. He has a relaxed yet firm disposition, which made the most complex subject easy to understand. He's also very friendly, very, very friendly. And he's friendly not only with his students, his colleagues, and all those around him, and is sincerely, underline that word, interested in their academic success and personal growth. He still calls me up to find out how we're doing, and he still guides me and steers me up till today. So it's very privileged to be under his tutelage, and I'm very, very proud to be associated with him. As a sound and inspiring teacher who knows the practice of mass communication and journalism from end to end, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye left a lasting impression on me about the critical role the fourth estate of the Relm, about the role it plays in enlightenment, in information, education, nation building, and human development. His passion about creating an enabling environment and support for the study and teaching of journalism is legendary, and Bisi just referred to the fact that he made possible the campus television and radio station, the first in the country. So there's hardly any department of mass communication in many universities in Nigeria where Professor Akinfeleye's giant footprints cannot be found. He has a gift, a rare gift of innovative thinking, a visionary spirit, and the tenacious patience required to successfully impact knowledge, lead, and inspire others in journalism education. I'd like to congratulate him today and say to him that we love him and that we wish him the best and that he will continue to excel. And that all his works, his efforts will never be in vain, because he has so many students, those who have passed through him, who will continue to hold the lot for him. Thank you very much indeed. I congratulate you today, and I say to you, well done, bravo, and kudos to you. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to ask a question here. Wouldn't you like to still listen to a voice like this on television? I, on my own, have been pleading with John. Let's have you cue a few times. This is what it has made. You are the best in Africa. Yes, but let us see. Let's hear this voice, for God's sake. I plead with him all the time. Ask him. Your hands please together for John again, ladies and gentlemen. I know. Well, just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, he said we're very close. Yeah, at my 40th, at my wedding 40 years ago, he was there in Ibadan. And the first fruit turned 40 just 2 days ago. Thank you very much, John, for always being there for me. Now, when the woman I'm going to speak about began to make waves on the political scene. Oh God. I said, politics is taking away the germ of broadcasting. But she started growing, and now she's the chairman of the Diaspora Commission. And through her, quite a lot has been achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, a broadcaster per excellence, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa. One of us.
Good afternoon. I said Uncle B. You know, for me, it's really such an honor and privilege to be in this gathering of the biggest and the brightest in the profession that I'm so very proud of. So let me start by saying I concur with Prof, but I can't help but pay my respect and compliments to my big brothers, Mr. Akinfeleye, professors, Chief Shobanjo. When I grow up, I want to be like you. John Momo, tonight at 9. And I said, John, those of you who want John to come back to television, let's just say aye. Those against? No. Mr. Momo. Uncle B, yes. I love, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Dr. Fasi Yusuf, my brother since I was a baby. Kabiesio, Dr. Ruby. Nice to see you today. Kabiesio, Ekaso, Professor Ralph. I still call him Akinfeleye, but it's Akinfeleye. So, Prof, thank you so much for all you've done for every one of us. Professor Akinfeleye is a good teacher who inspires hope, ignites the imagination, and instills a love of learning. We've heard from everybody here. And I stand here proud and tall to say that for a lot of us that have passed through Prof, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't go through your tutelage and your expertise and your knowledge. Professor Akinfeleye deeply, truly, and genuinely cares about his students. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Who else, like John said, will gather this array of journalists here? And apart from caring for his students, he cares about the profession. Every time we have a conversation about journalism, and is worried about the way journalism is going. And I believe that is why Prof put this book together. So I look forward to reading the book, Prof. And at the same time, I hope that, we should not let journalism go down the drain. It's going on a downward spiral. And I'm not happy about that. And I think we all should do everything possible to bring back the dignity and professionalism of who a journalist should be. I had a not too nice experience a few months ago. This lady came, she went to study journalism, she went to intern, she interned about 3 or 4 media houses, and she came back to me and said, Auntie Abike, I'm not doing journalism again. And she changed to another course. So for every one of us here, that journalism made us, we need to do something and see what we can, join hands together to ensure that we maintain the dignity of this profession. It's the most noble profession that I know, and I'm proud to have been trained as a journalist. And it prepared me for a lot of things, politics and everything. And I want to round up by saying, let me also shine and praise myself. Well, Uncle B was talking about NMMA. Me too, I won Nigeria Media Merit Award. And I won with them. Can you imagine? Started with John and those are Uncle B, but I won as a reporter on television, and I was also on Vision 2020. So, Prof, thank you very much. We appreciate you. We love you. May God's blessings keep you always. And may you and Madame stay young and blessed forever. Madame Le Malo Dadigo. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody was saying, shout out that my Jenny, oh, near that way, you need. Sorry. Ihe na-ekwu na ọgwụ abịa etinye ihe ka na-akpa wepụ ive n'iyan ụnakọ na ọ dị na-akọ musa halin a cikin ajiyuma mu fito da kuɗi ma ko ba haka bane dan mu jaraba da abin. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Bisi Olatilo. Moving on because of our time. Up next, let's welcome Dr. Biodo Shobanjo. Put your hands together, please.
For my sake, do me the honor, please rise to receive this man. This man has done so much for broadcasting and journalism. He started in Radio Nigeria, by the way. Today, the whole world knows him. Thank you very much, sir. Somebody who...
Keep clapping till it gets here. Come on.
Wow. Bless you.
I'm speechless. Both for the very warm reception we've had here today and this coup that had just taken place, because nobody told me I was going to say anything, to be honest. So this is really a coup. But, you know, once it's Professor Akinfeleye, whichever way you want to call his name, you really can't say no. I think it's a privilege to be here today, Prof. And I want to identify with the previous speakers all the nice things they've said about you. I had the privilege of writing a few words, I don't know whether it's in this book, in which I said that Prof was never well, should I say, he wasn't my teacher, as indeed he was to John and Abike and many other people here. But I've had the privilege of interacting with him in the course of the work that he did at University of Lagos, and in the period in which I was privileged to do something for the University of Lagos, along with Professor, the 11th Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Rahman, who is an incredible gentleman. And the passion, the enthusiasm, and the encouragement that Professor Akinfeleye brought to the party, along with John at the time, and I think Mark Oviagil, if I remember correctly, was such that really I couldn't say no to the invitation to do the School of Media Excellence. And of course, in the process, we started talking about collaborating on the Town and Gown initiative, in which our company, the Troika Group, can also begin to add value to what University of Lagos Mass Communications Unit was doing. And I think the conversation is still going, and we are looking at opportunities of also taking students from the department to intern with us and make them just like we do with the Lagos Business School, so that by the time they would have finished school, they can hit the ground running, particularly within our own aspect of the business. So, Prof, there's been a lot that's been said about you. I want to congratulate you and wish you continued successes. It was only this afternoon that I got to know that your wife and yourself are in fact in the same profession. Bringing knowledge to people and making them better people as they grow up. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Biodo Shobanjo. Quickly, because of time, we'd like to bring Lord Bishop Ashaju, represented by Barrister Elliot Ashaju. Please put your hands together, please. 2 minutes. She's coming.
While she's coming, just to remind us that we have what you call the after-event broadcast of this on BISCON. It's on your phone, we stream live and all of that as we speak now. But you know, China is live. So we're going to be calling on Mr. Reku in the meantime, just once she finishes, Mr. Reku comes on.
The chairman, the honorary Mrs. Akinfeleye, I stand on the existing protocols on behalf of my husband, the Bishop Theologian, and the former Vice Chancellor of Ajay Crowther University. I want to heartily congratulate you, sir, for this great event. I am a librarian, and I'm also a lawyer, so I cherish books a lot. And I want to say, sir, that the entire Olumakai dynasty is very proud of you, sir. And as a daughter of Idore Kingdom, we are equally very proud of you. So we say congratulations to you, sir, and we wish you well. God bless you, sir.
Once we have Mr. Reku, then we'll be going to the book review, then presentation of the book itself. I'd like you to put your hands together, Mr. Reku. Thank you very much. Media juggernaut. We've heard of a media Jagaban here, but he's a juggernaut.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The first time that I met Professor Ralph Akinfeleye was in 1982. I was editor of the Sunday Times at that time, and I had a degree in mass communication from the University of Lagos. The department, it used to be called Department of Mass Communication, and the lecturers there at the time were largely from UNESCO. They were sent from the UNESCO to come and help in servicing the department. So when I got my first degree, I went to work in a newspaper called the Nigerian Chronicle, which was owned by the Cross River State government. And then I left and came to Lagos and worked as editor of Sunday Times. I was in my early 30s at the time, and editing a weekly newspaper didn't really stretch me because I had a lot of energy. So I said, okay, I can go and do a master's. So I went back to UNILAC Mass Comm department to do a master's in mass communication. And that's when I met Professor Akinfeleye. I think he just came back from America. And when we finished the course, he gave us a questionnaire. We should fill and assess the program. Is it beneficial? Are we happy with what we learned, and so on? It was a very innovative approach to learning and teaching. And I filled the form, and I said to him, there is something here that I have to tell you. I've learned a lot here in the last 9 months, but it's just the theory of it. If I hadn't worked in a newspaper before coming here, I would not take my master's degree and go out and just work in a newspaper unsupervised. So I think that we have to marry town and gown. And I suggested, well, you should bring some professionals who are well educated to come and talk to your students, while your own professors can also go to the industry to learn practically what they are teaching. And he took it to heart, and I know that he himself, he came to work with us in Concord, and I'm sure he benefited. I'm sure he benefited from it. He went elsewhere, he worked with some UN organizations in the area of public relations and advertising. And I would say that Professor Akinfeleye is what I would call a complete town and gown man, a major of theory and practice. Prof, thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much for your timely intervention, sir. Mr. Biodun Shobanjo, our father forever in this business. Thank you. We will see how to do it such a way that we don't lose the main meat of the program itself. Now, the gentleman whom I'm going to call to do the review of this book is somebody I will tell you the truth, I admire him as a television presenter. He has always had sway in the journalism profession, the print profession, but these days, I don't miss him on Arise Television. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, if I were to go through the protocol list, we'll waste too much time, because in government, they tell you that there is nothing called all protocols observed. You are supposed to go through the list, but, you know, I should just go straight to the business of the day and just say, ladies and gentlemen, great pleasure for me to have been given this opportunity to comment on the book. And I'm going to keep it brief. I can publish my essay later on the pages of This Day and other newspapers. But this is just to introduce us to the book. It's titled, Ralph Akinfeleye, A Teacher's Hilarious Reward. This book review is titled Ralph Akinfeleye, A Teacher's Hilarious Reward, deliberately. And I think it is appropriate to begin with a clarification. The reference to A Teacher's Hilarious Reward is not original. The copyright for that phrase belongs to journalism teacher, Professor Olatunji Dare. My former boss at the Guardian newspapers, a former member of faculty at the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, Professor Emeritus at Bradley University, Peoria, Illinois, United States, and a former colleague of Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, in whose honor, a 923-page long Festschrift, edited by 5 scholars, has been published. A Teacher's Hilarious Reward was one of those pieces written by Professor Dare in his days as a newspaper columnist with the Guardian newspaper in Nigeria. The publication of issues in 4th and 5th estates of the Relm will qualify as Professor Ralph Akinfeleye's own hilarious reward. In this book, over 50 persons have put together a collection of essays in his honor to focus on the themes, the main themes of his scholarship, his many engagements within and outside the university community, his special contribution to knowledge and the training of journalists, his humanism and generosity of purpose. It is often said in Nigeria that a teacher's reward is in heaven, a popular description of the failure of teaching as a profession in the country and the humiliation to which teachers at all levels have been subjected. The classical conception of the idea of the teacher as a molder of other persons from kindergarten to the highest levels for the common good of society, the trainer of the labor force for society's productivity, has since been turned on its head in Nigeria by the combined forces of corruption, misgovernance, and misplacement of priorities. Nigerian teachers stopped receiving their rewards on earth at that point when governments at all levels began to treat the education sector as if it no longer mattered. Teacher salaries remain unpaid in many states of the Federation. Thousands of schools are dilapidated. Over 10 million children are out of school, from the primary to the tertiary level. Teachers are no longer the elite of society that they used to be before the locusts began to eat away at the Nigerian fabric. In the northern part of the country, more than 600 schools have been shut down at one point or the other in the last year alone due to challenges of insecurity. And there have been episodes projecting teachers not as heroes, but as villains, and the education industry as a pathetic zone. Nigeria pays lip service to its rich human potential and determination to compete in the future, but it lacks the will to develop a competitive education sector that is prepared for an increasingly more competitive global stage. It is in the midst of this that a book has now been produced in honor of a man, a teacher, a citizen, who has spent the last 40 years of his life educating others, teaching them the art of journalism and mass communication and leadership, and whose example has been a major contribution to the growth of mass communication as a field of study and a profession in Nigeria. When Professor Akinfeleye holds and reads this book, his only response must be that of laughter and joy. The book is not in his memory, it is in his honor. Not many Nigerian teachers collect their own rewards on earth. They do so in the grave, and even that is not certain. But today, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, foremost journalism teacher in Nigeria and Africa, can hold this publication and have a good laugh, look back on his life of duty, service, commitment, and rigorous self-application with a certain measure of contentment. The book is divided into 8 parts and 57 chapters, with a foreword written by Are Afe Babalola, founder and chancellor of Afe Babalola University, and a former pro-chancellor of the University of Lagos. But perhaps the best place to begin the reading of this book is the prefatory section titled About the Honoree, which provides a bird's-eye view of the milestones of Professor Akinfeleye's career, his essence, and the reach of his influence as a scholar and mass communication specialist and professional. I also find most instructive part 8 of the book, where former vice chancellors of the University of Lagos, Professor Rahman Bello and Professor Toyin Ogundipe, public relations chieftain, Mr. Abiodun Shobanjo, veteran journalist, Mr. Ray Epu, and the alumni of the Department of Mass Communication of the University of Lagos, including John Momo, Abike Dabiri Erewa, Azui Shekwene, Lekon Shote, Innocent Okoye, Tony Akiutu, and others, pay tribute to Professor Akinfeleye. This is probably the most engaging part of the book, as Professor Akinfeleye is showered with accolades by those who know him, worked with him, sat in his news writing and editing classes, or encountered him in the course of professional engagements. Akinfeleye is their darling Dr. Ralph, who became a professor of mass communication at the University of Lagos, the first African to be elected to the World Journalism Education Council, a graduate of the First School of Journalism, University of Missouri, Columbia, fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, fellow of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, consultant also to many local and international organizations, and teacher and mentor to generations of journalists in Nigeria and Africa. There are many parts of the book, parts 1 to 7, are devoted majorly to issues of scholastic inquiry, key issues in Professor Akinfeleye's teachings, writings, and professional engagements over the decades. These are media law and ethics, media social responsibility, press media and politics, social media and ICT, media convergence and digitization, communication and development. And in part 7, there is a miscellany on electronic news, music, health, print, and sports. But altogether, the book focuses on the range of Professor Akinfeleye's career, and even more specifically, on the central issues of media study. In the very first chapter, Professor Lai Osho, in an essay titled Professionalism in Journalism, a Critical Perspective, sets the tone for the rest of the first seven parts of the book, as he interrogates the questions of professionalism, its boundaries, and the questions also of ideology, limits, economic dynamics and politics, ownership, ethics, and the challenges of what he describes as the age of channel abundance and the age of social media. The posters raised in Osho's paper are subsequently turned into research questions in subsequent chapters in scholarly and interrogative research essays by scholars from Nigeria and the diaspora. Of special interest should be the focus in part 2 on media social responsibility, an extension of the focus in part 1 on ethics by Olufemi Onabajo, Adekoju Tejumaye, and Olugbenga Kalejaye, Dayoduyile, Fasi Yusuf, and Innocent Okoye. What is the responsibility of the media? What obligations must journalists hold there? How do we deal with corruption in the media? And as Professor Akinfeleye himself once put the question, what exactly are we dealing with? The fourth estate of the Relm or the fourth estate of the wreck? What is the meaning and extent of the freedom of the press? In chapter 10, Kabi Alabi Garuba and Shaibu Husseini, in a piece titled Between the Fourth and Fifth Estate of the Relm, in search of responsible media for national development, further raised the question of the power of the media and how the intervention of digital technology has expanded the frontiers of the interface between media and society, creating a fifth estate, that is, the social media and the emergence of citizen journalism and its challenges. This same theme is taken up further in part 5, dealing with media convergence and digitization, simply the diversification, as Abigail Ugozi Indisika, Shaibu Husseini, Olubunmi Ajibade, and Taslim Lawal tell us of, and I quote them, ways of producing, assessing, consuming, and distributing media content. A shift, they say, in cultural practices that has profoundly changed the dynamics of the relationship between media technologies and audiences. The extent to which these dynamics can be most felt in terms of fresh adaptations and challenges is further discussed in Fasi Yusuf's Media Survivor in a Digitized and Recessed Economy. Indeed, how best can the media survive in a dispossessed economy and in the face of rapid changes, economic, technological, and uncertain policy and regulatory environment? The accent on survivor is important. The dispossession of the Nigerian economy has claimed the media as one of its victims, evidenced by dwindling revenue, loss of readership, and the erosion of ideology in ownership values. This desperation to survive requires creative strategies and the need for adaptation, as Yusuf argues, but all of this is at the same time tied to the issues of responsibility and ethics, which the book emphasizes repeatedly. In general, the editors aspire, in my view, to pay tribute to the subject and at the same time provide a comprehensive interrogation of the central issues in media practice from a diverse perspective. As a Festschrift, the book succeeds. But in terms of being comprehensive, I do not find here enough necessary focus on the legal dimensions of media practice, specifically in Nigeria, and how journalists in reporting the news and setting agenda must be mindful that the entire enterprise operates within the province of legal obligations. There are also 3 accounts of direct practice experience in part 7, namely John Momo's managing an electronic media organization, the case of Channels Media Group. Those things only Abacha can teach you by Dari Babarinsa and foreign affairs correspondence, communication, and international diplomacy. An entire section of the book could have been devoted to these case studies, and there are many more, and field experience, given the fact that beyond theory, Professor Akinfeleye is also strongly involved in the world of practice. A compelling aspect of his example is the ability to bestride both academia and the world of practice in a seamless and capable manner. And it's not alone in this regard. In his generation, he and the likes of Olatunji Dare, the late Dr. Ogwade, Dr. Adidi Uyo, and others have been able to provide that robust link between campus and the newsroom, and indeed, it is a major issue of concern, I think, that we have teachers in schools of mass communication today who have never published a letter to the editor, or written a publishable opinion, or even a PR copy, even when they teach advertising and public relations, and yet they stay on campus, threatening to produce mass communication graduates that media owners have to retrain to make them fit for purpose. In that regard, there is very little, almost nothing, in this book about journalism education and the curriculum. But it is a very rich and informative book. It should be compulsory reading for students, teachers, and mass communication practitioners alike. Highly recommended for your attention. Thank you.
Well, is there any other thing to add? Just to remind us, ladies and gentlemen, that it's an encyclopedia on mass communication and its various adjuncts, and should be of relevance to scholars, the practitioners, students in journalism, broadcasting, public relations, advertising, social media, and related disciplines. It's divided into 7 parts, with a section devoted to tributes. Now, we'll be going straight away now to the launching, presentation of the book. And if not for the fact that our chief presenter is unavoidably unavailable for very, very great reasons, he would have been here himself, knowing that he deals with the people, is a people's person himself. But he's been represented here today, ladies and gentlemen, by a great man who will represent Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's the APC Secretary in Lagos State, and I'd like you to put your hands together for Honorable Leye Oladejo. Your hands please together for it, please.
Let's welcome Honorable Sheye Oladejo. I'd like our dignitaries on the high table to kindly join as well. This is the moment we all have been waiting for, really. I would like to invite Dr. John Momo to please join as well. Dr. Biodun Shobanjo, please join. Representative of ARE, please kindly join. The Vice Chancellor and former Vice Chancellor, please kindly join us. The wife of Professor Akinfeleye, please join as well. And then we pass the microphone one after the other to actually do the launch, ladies and gentlemen. Can we put our hands together for them? Good morning.
Well, I hope my brother is not going to give the impression that we just unveil and it ends there. Once we finish unveiling, then we go to launching. That's the one we're familiar with. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Me also stand well-established protocols here. Time is well spent, and I'm sure standing here this afternoon to represent Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, two-time governor of Lagos State, the Jagaban Bogu presidential hopeful. I come here this afternoon with warm greetings to this August gathering, most especially the honoree. He has asked me to congratulate you on this very auspicious occasion, on your landmark achievements, on your chosen profession, and for all the good things a whole lot of guests have said here today about you. When you're in the midst of communicators, as you need to prioritize whole lot of caution. So I'm going to apply all those cautions. But let me just say that this book is coming at a very auspicious time, at a time we're going to the season of politics, and we're having a whole lot of this mic is suddenly I thought the mic is not comfortable in the hand of a politician, but this is better. Thank you. Yes, actually would have loved to be here in person. He actually had this event scheduled at the initial date when it was supposed to hold, but he couldn't make it today, so he has asked me to stand in for him and to extend his warm greetings to all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen here, most especially the great students of mass communication of the University of Lagos. Please give yourself a round of applause. It's actually my first time of meeting the Honorary Professor Akinfeleye, but in about 2 hours I've been here. It's like it's an open book to me now. I've listened with rapt attention all the great things they said about you, and I also noted that, as Ashwayu likes to say, that you're not yet successful until you have good successors. I want to acknowledge all the great successors that you have here. And I particularly want to say that the present HOD of the Mass Communication Department is very popular. So I want to acknowledge him especially. Without much ado, I want to say that the political class will find a part of the book that talks about the media law and ethics, media social responsibility, press and media politics, and other topical issues very interesting, especially at a time like this. The book presenter is not supposed to entertain us with many words. So let's go to the business of the day. So on behalf of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, two-term Governor of Lagos State, the Jagaban Bogo presidential hopeful, I want to launch this great book and recommend it to all and sundry. Wait for it. I don't want to be misquoted. I didn't come here with a balloon van. The Asiwaju will be getting back to you with a very handsome donation to launch this book, because he has asked me to recommend this for all and sundry for mutual benefits. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Do we then ask that we take turns to do the launch or the presentation? Have the media men, please shoot them from every angle, but don't hurt them. The cameramen, the photographers, the video, and the photo shoots, we need them now.
Okay, do it now.
Then I think that we can in turn also tell us how much you want to
Okay, on this note, it's my great pleasure and honor to unveil this book on behalf of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Jagaban Bogo, presidential hopeful. Thank you very much.
Give us that. Give me one. Well, on behalf of Are Afe Babalola SCN, the chairman of this occasion, founder Abuad, and former pro-chancellor of this institution, Are is buying 50 copies of the book as follows: 10 copies for Afe Babalola University Ado Ekiti, 10 copies for the University of Lagos, 10 copies for the University of Ibadan, and 5 copies each for his chambers in Ibadan, Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, totaling 1,250,000 naira only. Thank you.
Thank you. 1,050,000 naira. Please put your hands together. Come on. The next is Dr. Pietro Shobanjo.
Well, I will be buying 10 copies of this book for 500,000 naira.
Thank you. Dr. Brother Shubajo, 500,000 naira. President Alumni Worldwide.
Thank you very much. I concur with my Egbo and my boss here. So I'll follow in his footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you. Same 500,000 naira. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos. Great Akokites. Great Akokites. Greatest of the greatest of the great. On behalf of the 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, Fellow of the Academy of Science. The University of Lagos will purchase copies of these books for an undisclosed amount. Yes. Yes. You know, we are still civil servants. So we go by the rules. And this picture has to get us. Thank you so much. Our former Vice Chancellor, 11th Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor R.A. Bono, who is no longer a civil servant.
Well, I'm no longer a public servant.
Public servant,
but I'm retired. But anyway, I'll buy 2 copies for 100,000 naira.
Thank you. Thank you. Quickly, Venerable Ife Okuvi.
Thank you. Congratulations to Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, and we give for all that had transpired here today. On behalf of my Bishop and Archbishop, the Most Reverend Dr. Humphrey Bamishebi Olumakaye, I will still confer with him, but I know that he's going to buy some for his family members, some for the Diocese of Lagos, and some for the Ecclesiastical Province of Lagos. And I will support him as well. Thank you very much. God bless.
Up next is Professor Yinka Alabi, representing the VC of LASU.
Good afternoon, all. I have the mandate of the Vice Chancellor of Lagos State University, the late Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunji Bello, MNI, to congratulate our father and the patriarch of the communication industry and scholarship in Nigeria, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, and to launch this book in my name, 5 copies for 200,000 naira.
The next, all the way from the United States, Dr. Tai Balofi, former student of Prof as well. Yes. All the way from New York for you. All the way from New York for Professor Ralph Akinfeleye. I'm also a contributor in this book, so I must be there. And I also present the class of 87, mass communication class of 87. Are going to, how much should we put down? Sir, I don't know your pocket. Sir, at the last launch that we had here, I launched the book with 1.5 million. So you can do your own 3 million. Okay. We are going to put 200,000 down, and I don't know how many copies you can give us. And then later on, I will come to Dr. Fassi, and probably we're going to take 100 later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please, can we appreciate everyone on stage? We'd like to take photographs with the book quickly. We'd like to take photographs with the book. Photographers, please, we'd like us to move back a little bit.
Lamu, hold on first. I think it will be a sacrilege not to invite Professor Joseph Adepoju Tejumaye, the head of the Department of Mass Comm.
Professor Tejumaye, yes, please come. It's a public servant.
Hello. Don't preempt him. When you want to know a good man, is the amount of noise that is made. If you love Professor Joseph Adepoju Tejumaye, make some noise.
Okay. Thank you. I will buy 10 copies at the limits of the HOD. I'm sure Professor Chukwu will understand me.
All right, so photographers, please take their pictures now. Distinguished guests, please, would like to take photographs, please. The photographers, please, are you ready, please? Dr. Fassi, please. Okay, we can join now.
Well, I've also been told that the cover price for the book, as requested by my immediate past HOD, is okay for people. For your consumption, the cover price is just a meager amount of 25,000 naira.
Yes. Now, if you take a look, 20 copy, 20,000 for students. Awesome. Take a look at the program of events that you have with you. There's an envelope in between. The account number is there.
TED Fund would also like to show their love. What's the name, sir? Abdulmumini from TED Fund would like to also be part of this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am here on behalf of Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, the Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund. He has sent his felicitations to Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, and he has asked that I give him an envelope, the content of which I'm not certain of, and he said we should pick 5 copies. I'm going to do this by giving this envelope directly to Professor Ralph. Thank you very much.
We recognize the presence of Professor Innocent Okoye. Thank you. And I've just been directed to bring on stage former Pro-Chancellor of LASU, Professor Nino Lowo. Is Professor Nino Lowo still here, please? Oh, Professor Nino Lowo is gone already.
Is Professor Nino Lowo there?
Professor Nino Lowo has left.
He did, yeah. Okay, let's give the floor to our ABAC.
Yes.
Who will, for royal blessings of the day.
We'll take the mic to go and meet the KBC, His Royal Majesty Oba. Yeah. Oh, he said he wants to come. Oba Barrister Olufemi Ogunleye, just to of KBC. Arole Olowu Kingdom. KBC o, kade pẹ́ lórí, kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀, ká ṣe pẹ́ lẹ́nu, ẹni bá rọ́bà fín.
Ẹ ṣé ọmọ kí yín o, ẹni tí bá ń sọ ọba yé ẹ̀ẹ́dà yín á máa túmọ̀ ẹ̀ fún yín o. Nítorí náà a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Olódùmarè tó jẹ́ kí ọjọ́ òní kó ṣeé ṣe. A dúpẹ́ lórúkọ ọ̀gá wa ọ̀mọ̀wé rẹpẹtẹ Ralph Akinfeleye. Mo jẹ́ kan nínú àwọn tó kọ́ níwèé ń bí báyìí ní bí ọdún 240 sẹ́yìn. So ọpẹ́ ni fún Ọlọ́run nínú tó kọ́ wa amúlò amúyàn gan. Mo kí ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà tẹ́ wà mí látàárọ̀ ìlú ìlà máa rí o, inú yín á dùn, ara yín á lé o. Nípa ìwé tá a ṣe lónìí, Nàìjíríà á dẹ̀rọ̀ o, ìlú wa á dẹ̀rọ̀ o. àlàáfíà tó wà o ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń kàwé sẹ́yìn àkàyé o ẹ̀ kà yege ẹ̀ wúlò fúnlé ẹ̀ wúlò fọ́nà ẹ̀ wúlò fórí èdè lórúkọ Oòduà á dáa fún yín o ẹ ṣé.
Well, with the kind permission of the Kabiyesi, who has said this will be interpreted, he said, all of you that are studying, you will all excel. He said he appreciates what Professor Ralph Akinfeleye did for him, that he is proud of him, that Nigeria will be greater, Nigeria will be better, and this country will move forward. Unilag will move forward. You students of mass communication shall be successful.
All right, thank you. For those on Zoom as well, you can actually send in the text messages. Because of our time, we may not be able to engage them now. We recognize everyone that is watching on Zoom. The pledge will be noted. You can kindly let us know, and we'll record immediately after the function. Quickly, Trinity University would also like to do a presentation. Can we have Trinity University quickly? Trinity University, can we have you quickly?
Yeah, ready? Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Kulo Gidengbe from Trinity University. My Vice Chancellor said I should extend his greetings to Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, and at our university, we'll be picking 5 copies, and that for those 5 copies, he will tell Prof himself how much he's going to pay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I've just been told that soft copy is 20,000 naira, hard copy is 25, but for students, it is 15,000 naira. But I think I should buy for all students of mass comm, right? Even my belt and my wristwatch can actually accommodate that, right? Okay, I'll see you guys after this function, all right?
Lamu, I say it to you, if you buy for 1, make a trek reach Abuja.
I'll buy for 5. Please, quickly, we have the envelope here. The bank is Wema Bank. The account number is on the envelope. Ushers, you can begin to go on now, and let's allow people feel this. You can feel. You can make your pledge through what we have here, and then we will record and get in touch with you. Distinguished guests, please, you can make use of this. It's in between the booklet that you've been given for you to make your pledge. All right, remember the soft copy is 20,000 naira, the hard copy is 25, and for students it is just 15,000 naira. And for those that are watching on Zoom as well, you can make the pledge, we'll record the messages, and then we'll hand over to Professor Ralph Akinfeleye much later. But quickly, because of our time, the chairman has said we can actually move on.
I can also see a veteran sport journalist here, someone I grew up listening to, one of the few that we have in sport journalism with a doctorate degree, Dr. Mimini Alao. You are highly recognized, sir.
Thank you. We'd also like to call Mr. Ray Ekpo. Ray Ekpo, is this, please, we'd like you to launch as well. Friends that may want to come to the podium to mention the pledge, you can come on stage to do that now for the next few minutes before we move to the next, please.
Well, I'm directed by Professor Ralph Akinfeleye that Dr. Mimini Alao should step on stage and come and launch.
All right, I don't think he wants to make that public. If we have any guests here seated, you want to launch? Ma, you're coming to the podium? Okay. we still have any guests here present that would like to? Okay, please, ushers, we have people in front here. Can you go around? The envelopes, they're done with it. Please go around and collect. I have about 3 in front here with me. Ushers, go around with the books. I need somebody to visit, our guest in front here, another one beside. Thank you, thank you. Keep them coming, thank you, thank you. For those that are still pledging, thank you. Well done. We appreciate everybody. Remember, the papers there. Professor Shinibu, recognize your presence. Director ULBS, thank you for coming. Moving on, I will now invite all the way from NBC. Sir, please come to the podium.
Thank you very much. I'm the Zonal Director of National Broadcasting Commission, Dr. Chibike Ogumike, here representing the DG NBC. DG is away with the Minister for official assignment, and he has asked me to represent him. Professor Ralph Akinfeleye is a member of NBC, and we do appreciate him, and he's asked me to kindly come back home with 6 copies of this book, and he's coming to Lagos very soon to officially make his donation to Professor Akinfeleye. So on behalf of National Broadcasting Commission, we appreciate Prof for the wonderful job Prof is doing to the media industry. And in terms of regulation, Prof has helped tremendously to shape the broadcast sector, and we do appreciate him. And on behalf of the Commission, we say thank you, and we continue to appreciate Professor Akinfeleye for the wonderful job he's been doing in the industry. Thank you very much.
Please, who's making the confirmation for the transfers, please? For those who didn't transfer, it is Wema Bank. Ushers, I hope you're taking note of the figures, and I hope the appropriate quarters are taking note of the alerts being done by those online and guests who are here seated. Please let's take note. Do we still have any guests here present that would like to say one thing or the other, or make a pledge? All right, quickly, let me invite the honoree for his closing remarks. Once again, let's welcome Professor Ralph Akinfeleye. Please put your hands together for him. Come on. Jagaban of Communication.
Great communicators. Great communicators. Great communicators. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. Great. What do I mean to say? I thank you all for coming. Thank you. Well, a round of applause for Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, the Don of University of Lagos, and the one I call the Jagaban of Masscom. I remember vividly on August 12, 2019, history was made by this man, World Journalism Education Council. Elected him as the first Nigerian and first African to be on that board. Let's give him a round of applause. For the vote of thanks, it is fitting to invite the immediate past chair and head of department, the delectable, quintessential, soft-spoken, amiable, doting, caring, accommodating, understanding, and tough. I use that word, tough. Professor Abigail Indiseka Ogwezi.
Thank you. My name is Abigail Ogwezindisika, a co-editor of the book we're launching, and I hope you've all enjoyed this event. It's my honor and privilege now to give a vote of thanks to all those who helped make this event happen. On behalf of the book editors and organizing committee, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all who were able to attend this official launch of the book, Issues in 4th and 5th Estates of the Relm, a first speech on Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye. So I hope I got that pronunciation. Today, at this auditorium, we're truly humbled by this crowd and by your very kind and generous comments and donations. First, we won't be here without our Vice Chancellor's generosity. So first, I'd like to thank the VC, who is ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Management Services, Professor Obinachuku, for giving us this hall. Our committee and the honoree are grateful to you for letting us use this hall. His Grace, Most Reverend Dr. Humphrey Olumake, represented today at this event, and Oba Barrister Femi Ogunleye, we thank you for coming and we thank you for your prayers and blessings. The chairman of this occasion, Dr. Are Afe Babalola, OFRSAN, our former pro-chancellor and the founder and chancellor of Afe Babalola University. He was ably represented by Chief Boyega Oyewole's son. We thank you for coming and we thank you for your support. The chief presenter of the book, former governor of Lagos State, and we say presidential hopeful for 2023. He was also represented. We thank you for your generous donation and support. The special guests of honor, permit me to be a bit selfish. I'm going to start with the immediate past Vice Chancellor of our great university, Professor Raman Bello. Permit me to also use.
And we are still live at the JF Ade Ajayi Auditorium of the University of Lagos, and we are still on the sidelines of the public presentation of the book that is dedicated, yes, to Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye, who we know as the doyen of mass communication here at the University of Lagos, and it's taken that toga beyond the confines of the University of Lagos, across the length and breadth of Africa, and a lot of persons, glitterati of stars, seem to turn out, en masse to actually celebrate this worthy icon of journalism. And my name is still Bayo Salau, and here we'll be joined by a man who is supposed to be, one man that has hogged the headlines for the right reasons, a former governor of Lagos State, and he is the book presenter, yes, for this particular Festschrift in honor of Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye. And I've still got my co-anchor with me, Novena.
Oh yes, Bayo, we're still here, and please remember to follow us across all social media platforms to catch on everything that we have to offer. Remember, it is at Unilag on TV across all social media platforms.
That's right. All right, I did mention to you we have a particular guest in the house, and a special one at that. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, honored and of course represented by Honorable Sheyi Oladejo. Of course, it's our pleasure to have you on set with us.
Actually, the name is Sheyi Oladejo.
Oh, Sheyi Oladejo. Oh, I thought it was Sheyi Oladejo. Okay. It's a great honor to have you on set with us.
Pleasure.
Quickly, it's about a book launch of one man we see very much as an enigma. But what can you exactly tell us about this man you came for?
Well, I didn't get to meet him until about 3 hours ago. Less than an hour after being at this event, I can say it's like an open book to me. A whole lot of accomplishments, a lot of achievements. I mean, a whole lot of people paying glowing tributes to him. He's been a teacher's teacher. He recorded many firsts, including this TV station we're in.
Absolutely.
And in politics, when we talk about first television station in Africa, we mentioned Chief Obafemi Awolowo. So in that same realm, we mentioned Prof. Afolabi Akinfeleye, having established the first TV station in the Nigerian University campus. So it's a massive achiever. Yeah. And I dare say, Unilag has been very fortunate to have a man like that. And I also want to congratulate him that he's been celebrated in his lifetime. So, and I believe he's become a role model for a whole lot of people to follow when they really want to get to the peak of their chosen profession.
Okay, I mean, that almost encapsulates or sums up what that man is of an individual. But again, coming down to who he is academically and the topic on this particular Festschrift in his life, the issues around the fourth estate of the Relm and of course the fifth estate of the Relm. How exactly can you put this side by side in relation to the present circumstances that we find ourselves as a nation?
Well, interestingly, you found in recent times a whole lot of unethical professional practices in the media and journalism. People being subjected to media trial and prosecution, journalists acting as the accuser, as the prosecutor, and you just find that it's become very worrisome. And it's such that when you get prosecuted and convicted on social media, it will take a whole lot to be set free. So I think the whole idea is to really bring journalism back on course, to make sure that practitioners remain ethical, they remain professional, and perhaps rid the profession of charlatans who are not really trained. In these days, with the advent of social media, almost everyone has become a journalist, practitioner, photographer, cameraman, writers, and the rest of it. And that's not the best of the profession, especially as we are counting down to the 2023 elections. You find a whole lot of misinformation out there, shared falsehood, and the most guilty party for this are those untrained practitioners on the social media. So this book will go a long way. Yeah, I find it interesting. Topics like media law and ethics, media social responsibility, press, media and politics, that's particularly of interest to me, and I want to recommend the book to everyone, whether you are a professional or not. You stand to get one thing or the other from reading the book.
That's right. It's like taken from the horse's mouth. Just as you have it from Honorable Shaye Oladejo, who is of course no doubt a man who has stood in well for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I can't particularly say
the major victim of the social media trial has Asiwaju himself.
Wow.
There are a lot of things going on out there.
Yes.
Suddenly everyone has become an expert on his medical record, his certificates, his age, and a whole lot of things.
Falsification out there, yeah.
Have been found to be untrue.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yes, it is not fair. We should remember posterity in doing all of things. They want to be thorough. You could really assess all the whatever information you need. But I think what is going on is just bad politics.
Yeah.
So I think a book like this will enlighten people more, and will let them realize that we need to do things properly, if not for today, for posterity's sake.
We want to say a big thank you for coming on the show, Honorable Shaye Oladejo. Of course, he's actually been talking to us about the Festschrift and Life of Times of Professor R.A. Akinfeleye, talking about Afolabi Akinfeleye, the media jagaban of our time. And of course, it's very, very noble that we still have this man in our midst. Okay, we'll be taking a very short break back to the auditorium to continue with the proceedings, and of course, a whole lot of things happening with regards to this Festschrift. We'll be right back.
He has favored, and may we all remember today for peace. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Like you heard from Professor Mbisika, refreshment for them, right? Awesome. So we've done an orderly manner. The ushers will lead you through, but kindly allow the guests to take their leave first before students actually leave the hall. Students, please, you may remain where you are. Allow the guests to leave. Ushers, do your job so that refreshment can be served in an orderly manner. Securities, you may kindly open the exit for our guests to leave.
Thank you, Lamu. But once again, we like to reiterate that food, drinks are not taken inside the JF Ade Ajayi Hall. So the ushers, please take care of the brilliant students of the Department of Mass Communication. On behalf of Prince Dr. B.C. Olatilo, the Chairman, Discount Communication.
Obrigado, Siabonga, Danke, Merci. We love you. Great Akokai. Great Akokai. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest Akokai.
Currently, I am the African representative and council of the World Journalism Education Congress. And I'm the fourth African to be elected to that position. There are 6 of us from the 6 continents of the world, and I'm representing Africa for the next few years on the council. What are we doing that is wrong? What are we doing that is right? To the extent that when we train them, they have to retrain them. It's not acceptable. On their own part also, when we send our students to the media houses to work, what you call industrial attachment, instead of them to do the job, what do? Sometimes they send the students who are media attachment to go and buy bolly, to go and buy puff-puff. That's not acceptable to us. You recall that in the immediate past, while the likes of many of you were in the university, the classrooms were way ahead of the newsrooms. But in recent times it has changed tremendously, that the newsroom is not far ahead of the classroom, to the extent when we train a student, after 4 years, he gets a Bachelor of Science degree in mass communication or in journalism. Then you go and work with any of the radio station or television station or newspaper or magazine. They have to retrain them for another 6 months, sometimes 18 months, sometimes 1 year before they are given full employment. What are we doing that is wrong? What are we doing that is right? To the extent that when we train them, they have to retrain them. It's not acceptable. On their own part also, when we send our students to the media houses to work, what you call industrial attachment, instead of them to do the job, what do?
Hold on. You're wondering what's going on? You're soon to find out. But first, let me tell you something about journalism. According to the American Press Institute, the purpose of journalism, and consequently a journalist, is to provide citizens with information they need to make the best possible decisions about their lives, their communities, their societies, and their governments. With that in mind, let's rewind a little, shall we?
Instead of them to do the job, what do? Sometimes they send the students who are media attachment to go and buy bolly, to go and buy puff-puff. That's not acceptable to us.
Oh yes, that cannot be acceptable. Remember the vital role of a journalist? No. A journalist should not be buying bolly and puff-puff. If that, however, is the case, then there is a problem.
You recall that in the immediate past, while the likes of many of you were in the university, the classrooms were way ahead of the newsrooms. But in recent times, it has changed tremendously, that the newsroom is not far ahead of the classroom. To the extent, when we train a student, after 4 years, he gets a Bachelor of Science degree in mass communication or in journalism. Then you go and work with any of the radio station or television station or newspaper magazine. They have to retrain them for another 6 months, sometimes 18 months, sometimes 1 year, before they are given full employment.
Well then, it suffices to say that there is a gap between the classroom and the newsroom in this part of the world.
Currently, I am the African representative and council of the World Journalism Education Congress. And I am the first African to be elected to that position. There are 6 of us from the 6 continents of the world, and I'm representing Africa for the next few years on the council.
As the African representative on the World Journalism Education Council, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye seeks to bridge that gap in Africa by setting up a series of interventions. First of these interventions is the convergence of concerned minds on the Biodun Shobanjo Center of Excellence in Multimedia and Cinematography, Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos. It is a roundtable series bringing together the different players in this game of journalism, from the academia to the regulators and the professionals, to discuss this gap between the classroom and the newsroom. For purpose of clarity, Professor Akinfeleye defines the classroom and newsroom in the context of this discussion.
Our concept of newsroom is amalgamation of all what we have done. We are not talking about the newsroom. Our concept of newsroom is everything that goes out into production of news for radio, for television, for newspaper, for online. That's our concept of newsroom. Our classroom also relates to not just lecture. It includes availability of studio, laboratories, where they will be able to be trained and be able to photojournalism lab, all those things, Brad lab. So that's our concept. We are using it genetically.
With that in mind, let's talk specifics. What are the indicators of this gap? Professor Innocent Okoye of the Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti is of the opinion that the standards have been lowered.
We have seen it. I mean, we studied mass communication in the 70s, graduated in the 70s, you know, came to the industry. We were already vast. We were already conversant with what we were supposed to do. And we just went in and started work. For many years, we practiced journalism as reporters, as sub-editors, as producers on radio, television, as editors, you know, before we now went to the academy. But we have seen that many things that were in existence at that time are no longer so. So that's why we support that a lot of effort must be done to bridge the gap.
Ever heard the term jungle journalism? Oh well, that's what Professor Oluwatunyi Ogundipe, Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, says is the resultant effect of this gap.
We have what we call the jungle journalism, if I can be allowed to use that word, jungle. Why did I say jungle? You all go online, you see all manner of stories that are not real. And destiny will have been destroyed by that news. Destiny will have been terminated with that news. Something.
It's still the University of Lagos television live transmission of the Festschrift, the life and times of Professor Ralph Afolabi, Akinfeleye. And of course, we've been bringing people to talk about many of the things they know about this enigma. These are iconic broadcast journalist experts, an academic of thought and of repute. And I'm being joined by one of the main trump card, a management person, and of course, one man who of course knows Professor Akinfeleye well enough. And of course, it's my pleasure to bring to you up big pleasure the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Management Services, Great Citadel of Learning, Professor Lucien Obinashuku. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, in just a quick second, we want you to tell exactly what you know about Professor Ralph Akinfeleye.
Thank you very much. For this event today, I am here representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos. But aside from that, I also have some personal relationship with the honoree that we're talking about here today. Professor Akinfeleye is somebody that we respect very highly in the academia. This is someone that has a lot of, what will I call it now? Laurels to the Mass Communication Department of the University of Lagos. No doubt, you all know that it was through him that the Unilag Radio FM 103.1, the first campus radio, came to the University of Lagos. And the Unilag TV, where we are today, was also one of those exploits on behalf of the management of the University of Lagos. Aside from that, Unilag hosts about 3 World Bank Centers of Excellence, and one of them is the World Bank Center for Excellence on cinematography and multimedia. Thanks to Professor Akinfeleye, who also was one of those that initiated and attracted that project to the University of Lagos. And that was even also, had what we can call an icing on the cake with the Bloomberg initiative that eventually followed after that program. Also, Akinfeleye, on a personal note, is very warm, very friendly. There are so many virtues that we will learn from him. Virtues of integrity, virtues of honesty, virtues of excellence, and that is spirit of can-do, and that you must not carry last in anything you want to be. You will always want to be on top of it. When I was a dean of postgraduate school at the University of Lagos, for the 4 years I was there, Professor Akinfeleye was the one who will always represent me anytime I am out of Lagos. He is always, that's why we refer to him as the permanent acting dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies. So it is indeed, I'm indeed highly elated to be here today, and the university community is also happy to celebrate one of those we can regard as our big brand ambassador to the University of Lagos.
Absolutely, that's well said. Prof, you've actually taken us memory lane to some of the many firsts we recorded as an institution. Of course, through Professor Akinfeleye, the management has been able to actually take to another level the mass comm education in Nigeria, and it has constantly become a vehicle of sort or a springboard for emerging, mass communication undergraduate or graduate. But beyond all of that, let's talk about the book a little bit. I think yesterday or a few days ago, you were the editor and of course the lead presenter who spoke to the book that was dedicated in honor of our sitting vice chancellor, and you said very warm things about the book, and of course compartmentalize it the best way you possibly can through his parenthood, childhood experience, and how he was able to actually fought through many obstacles in life, the audacity which he was able to actually scale through those hurdles. Can you similarize that now to this, not particularly with his life and times, but through the issue that we're looking at today, the issues of fourth and the fifth estate of the Relm? How exactly could you possibly put this side by side, to the audacity of this man as a mass communication teacher?
Thank you very much. Putting it into perspective, the book we presented 2 days ago was actually a biography, so to say, a compendium to mark the Diamond Jubilee celebration of our 12th Vice Chancellor, Professor Akinfeleye. But this book we're having today is coming from a different angle, and that's why it's referred to as a Festschrift. These are very strong individuals in the media industry, intellectuals, lecturers, practitioners, his peer groups, his mentees, coming together to honor him with this book. So you have various contributions from all these intellectual gurus in the media world. And what is it that they address? Issues that you have in the 4th estate of the Relm and in the 5th estate of the Relm. They have subtly defined the 5th estate of the Relm as the new social media that has now taken over the mainstream journalism.
Absolutely.
And therefore, you can see that the new social media journalism, which some people refer to as evidence-based journalism, has a number of issues to contend with.
Absolutely.
Issues of integrity of the facts, issues of sensationalism, issues of even privacy, issues of, what will I call it now? Character assassination and so on and so forth. And therefore, a number of those issues will have been analyzed in this book by those who know, so that towards setting an agenda or a roadmap for the practice of evidence-based journalism using social media. It is a good thing to do. We are migrating. I mean, previously it used to be the days of only newspapers, Daily Times and all the rest of them. We now move to a situation where you now have the media being deregulated. Now we now have private television stations and all that. But there are standards, there are regulations that have been set by NBC. I'm sure that this book will also x-ray most of these issues, highlight the germane points towards setting up what I can call a policy statement and an agenda statement for the practice of journalism in Nigeria. And it's a worthwhile read for anybody to read.
That was well delivered. Of course, I trust Professor Luciano Binachukwu to have answers to almost many of the critical and, of course, the most intricate of questions when you throw at him. And he is everywhere. Don't forget, this man is a man, an expert in marine, science, but he has gone beyond the confines of what he's actually doing as an academia. That says a lot about his professorship, and we're quite to hear all of this from him. No further final words before we say bye-bye?
Anyway, guys, just so you know, do follow us across all our social media platforms. Is at Unilag on TV, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, of course, YouTube. Alright, follow us at our social media platform at Unilag on
TV. Yes, across all socials. Don't forget, it's a day for us to actually, hear the thoughts of people who are, of course, in his inner circle and tell exactly how it is with Professor Ralph Akinfeleye. From an academic, we are going into meeting with another very, very important personality, a gentleman of sorts, and one man who has all the headlines for the right reasons in Nigerian media and, of course, the social media space. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, well. Thank you.
What are we doing that is wrong? What are we doing that is right? To the extent that when we train them, we have to retrain them. It's not acceptable. On their own part also, when we send our students to the media houses to work, what you call industrial attachment, instead of to do the job, what do? Sometimes they send the students who are in media attachment to go and buy bolly, to go and buy puff-puff. That's not acceptable to us.
An industry expert, Mr. Jimmy Awoshika, representing Insights Communications Limited, proposes a formula from the perspective of industry realities.
What do we desire? So we have to call that the future outcomes. I mean, I think that's basically what we're talking about. And then we also have to then examine what are the current outcomes, what present capabilities exist, and what new capabilities should we be looking at. And so what I've done is basically just to work out something this week. So here, you have current capabilities. I mean, I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'll try to. I wish we had the chat. But you have your current capabilities here. Capabilities. Current capabilities in either the industry or even in the university. That's here. Now you have new tech-based capabilities, because we're talking of a tech-based economy. On this side, you have your present outcomes, and on this side, you have your future outcomes. Now, what that means is that if we have to plot where we are today, which means our current capabilities give us our present outcomes. All right? If we decide that we will enhance our current capabilities so it can give us our future outcomes, one thing I can tell you is that that's a discount. You're not going to get there. The other way to move, that means going this way. The other way to move is to go here and expect your new tech to give you your current capabilities. You're sub-optimizing new tech. What it means is that you actually have to develop new tech capabilities to now give you your future outcomes.
And we are still at the public presentation and of course the Festschrift of Professor Ralph Afolabi Akinfeleye, the Jagaban of mass communication. And if you like, you can call him the doyen of journalism in Nigeria or beyond its borders. Of course, Novena, please have very much with me in the studio. And Novena, it's been an exciting time out here at this event inside the JF Ade Ajayi Auditorium of this university. How exactly could you as well describe this man, if I were to ask you?
I would say Professor Ralph is actually someone that helps you to he's a teacher to many. He hasn't taught me. I know close people that he has taught and mentored. And actually looking for the society today.
Absolutely. The likes of Yorisho Banjo, we hear, and then likes of John Momo, and also other academics within the confines, of course, product of Akinfeleye. Okay, if there's one man too who is also closest to and knowing who this man is, as a matter of fact, it's always been a pleasure to see him on TV, and these are supposed to be our own benchmark for broadcast journalism. It's spanned over 4 decades in broadcast journalism, and it's a pleasure to sit side by side with one man who I also regard to as a polyglot, and of course, a multilingualist, if you want to say. It's my honor to welcome here with us at University of Lagos Television, Prince Dr. Bisi Olatilo. Our pleasure to have you on television.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Sir, I'm quite excited, but I want to start with something. I'll be starting from the angle of what this means to broadcast journalism or students of mass communication or Nigeria as a whole in its entirety.
What the thing is saying, issues in 4th and 5th estates of the realm.
Yes.
And you know that we're having a lot of problem with the 5th estate now.
Absolutely.
They call themselves social media. Everybody is a journalist of some sort. But they're doing exactly what we're asked them to do. The broadcasting will have specific ethics that are sacrosanct. It doesn't have to be with time. They're timeless, the sacrosanct. The ethics is timeless. If you're not sure, if you're in doubt, leave out. Don't sensationalize. Don't malign. And we have a lot of that going on with the 5th estate. And it's a nice thing that we have this book coming, very apt, it's coming at the right time to put all of us in check. And there's some of us who are even in the 4th estate who are beginning to pander to them. We are the ones who are supposed to be dictating to them, but they're almost like dictating the pace. So we need to sit down and think about it again. I have cumulatively put in 47 glorious years in broadcasting. So why would somebody who just woke up yesterday and has one, whatever they call, what do they even call it?
A Twitter handle, a social media handle. Yeah, network-enabled individual.
What the hell? And they'll be telling us stories that at times we flow with them. You know, so we must try and first of all, thank God that this is coming. Let us not just make it an item to decorate our archives. Let us read everything right there. I mean, they say it's 900 pages. That's what they say it's there. Yeah. It's a seminal book that covers about 900 pages, and the area of contributors make the best ever on mass communication in Nigeria. So we are also helping to upgrade our own knowledge about this. So I think that the book has come at the right time. But talking about the man himself, Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, I want to proudly say a lot of thanks about that. He courted our relationship. How come? He loves BOS. He never sleeps. You know, it's a late night thing. He will watch and tell me what. I mean, the whole house watch, and each time we see, we talk about it, and that's how our friendship grew. So whenever we're having anything, I'll invite him. He comes. At my 65th birthday, you know, that's 3-4 years ago, at the Musa, he was there. So my wife was asking, where was I going? I said, that man that came with his wife to honor us when I turned 65.
Talk to him at Relm as well.
You know, that's what I said. And because I normally don't leave home.
Yeah, she practically wanted to know exactly where you were headed. I understand.
You know, our women and their wahala.
Yes, sir.
I mean, apologies to me. Better start getting ready for that.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
So to be honest with you, and this same man we're talking about, who has become a jagaban of this profession, got into it accidentally. He had his way, would have been a pilot, would have been an industrial engineer. And most of those in his family turned out to be bishops, turned out to be pastors, reverends, and all that. But he decided to just twist it. And how come he was late before he now became, a journalist? He's a very, he's a man who he's very strict. He would rather go for the best. So he said until Nigeria starts, has a university that can provide degrees in it. Otherwise, he won't do. And that's how come he went abroad to study. And having done that, he had done quite a lot in terms of training. So he's a very completely educated person in journalism. And what he has done that has taken very high in my estimation is that radio, television, newspaper, so he didn't leave any area uncovered. And he did it in such a way that today he is a masterpiece. He's a reference point in the Nigerian media, in the African media, and the global space. So he's a man that we all have to be very proud of. That's why I stood quite a lot of things down just to be here today. I was supposed to travel to Sokoto today. Wow. The boys, they're launching something today. Cement thing. But I just said no. If you ask me to be your master of ceremonies, that means you really it's something to be proud of. And I said, why should I now let
That
this go?
yeah.
So that's how it came.
You see, we mentioned to the news about that we have glitterati of stars who coming in here, descending to this JF Ade Ajayi auditorium, and of course to come celebrate with one who is iconic in his own right. And when you talk about this media space, this man cannot be in any way pushed over like a spring chicken. Beyond all of that, he had said a lot of things talking about Prince Bisola Atilo, about what social media seems to be. Yes, as much as we want to give it a thumb mark or thumbs up, some persons have not actually held their own well in that regard, because there are some things that are ethical to the profession of its own, and these people are not working within the confines of that particular ethics, and that makes it not so comfortable. And for someone like him who's seen almost over 40 years experience in journalism, it's not a good thing. But I would quickly want to ask, how exactly do you think we could ameliorate this?
No, to be honest, I think the government seems to be sleeping on this. They seem to be dragging their feet on it. I'm talking in respect of the National Broadcasting Commission.
Yes.
They put quite a lot of things done to come down heavily on these guys. When they do that, they scrap it, a few of them, and so on and so forth. I mean, that would be a lesson, a deterrent to others. But government is not doing the right thing. Whereas the government will go down, will punish the channels of this world and the rest of it, unjustifiably. What, maybe they carry a story that is not favorable to them. They just turn it around and they say it's anti-government. Meanwhile, these guys that are operating in cyberspace, you can easily just get them off. Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that channel has done that is not that, because the man who runs it knows what we call broadcasting, inside out. So there's no way we have been doing anything wrong. But what I'm just saying in effect is that government should not focus on the fifth estate. I mean, the way they are running things, I don't understand. You look at the story there, you check out later, it's a lot of rubbish. For instance, in my own case, I contracted COVID-19. As a matter of fact, 2 days, exactly 1 year, 2 days ago, I was discharged from Mainland Hospital, not too far from here. But before I knew what was happening, they had thrown one rubbish news in the air that I died. So you mean you didn't see that? It was all over the place.
It was all over, actually. I saw.
And it was not true. I had to do a quick disclaimer, a quick debunking, and the rest of it. Nothing happened to me. I was quite all right. Yes, I was in hospital. I contracted COVID, but I was responding to treatment. So how come you'll be proclaiming me dead while I'm still alive? And that went all over the world. My son, 39-year-old, never knew anything about it because he tried to call all of us, he didn't get it. But his friends kept telling him, sorry about your father. Can't that even shock somebody? Really? Sorry about your father. What is wrong with my father? So he started calling, and unfortunately he didn't get through at the time because they even asked me to put up all my phones.
Oh, I can imagine.
He was so worried until he now got through to me and said, Daddy, I said, there's nothing wrong with this. Meanwhile, all over the place it got viral. I said, look at this. So I don't know what government has. The onus is on the government to do something about it. I mean, you guys are doing your bit. We're doing our bit somewhere else there. So why should we have this kind of problem here? Why should they even be existing? Is it by force? If they're not doing the right thing.
Well, wouldn't that be any way you could tie that to the FOI? If you don't have information?
No, the thing about it is that maybe you should even try and get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Let government focus attention on them the way they're focusing on holding us on the throat, on justifiably. That's what I'm saying.
That's what it should be, actually. And we quite agree with that. We'll confirm, and the government has it there. Novena, I mean, Prince has said virtually what I think it should be, to government, and the onus is definitely on government. There's been a whole lot of issues that happened the past years, I mean, from the Twitter ban. I mean, one of the reasons I actually, brought about the Twitter ban because there's a need for us to actually be checked. Most of the youth, you don't go out and just put things out the way you want to put out. So it's about a case of cacophony of voices everywhere. Somebody wants to talk, somebody wants to something, and you don't want to just talk for the sake of doing so. No, I don't know. What do you make of that?
I actually feel I concur with you actually, but there is actually one thing actually we want to clarify from Doctor here. Amongst the things that were highlighted in the book, which one of the issues do you feel is actually sacrosanct in this business and why?
If we take away media social responsibility?
Amongst everything.
Which one, catches your fancy, you would think should be the one that should be hugged by government as a matter of urgency, and why do you think so?
Media convergence and digitization. Let me tell you why. 2003, it will be exactly 20 years next year.
Yes.
We applied, Biscom Communications, my organization, applied for a radio and television station. That was under President Obasanjo. And we were told we were given. We had that when we had engineer Mark Controller or somebody as MD, as the DG of NBC.
The NBC, yes.
I went to Abuja to speak with him, and he said yes. But like, listen to his story. That yes, but they've asked that they shouldn't release to us yet because they were planning to go digital. That the one they were going to give me was an analog license, but they asked him to just tarry a while until they get things sorted out. They went on, and as we speak, they politicized it, nothing to come from that end. 2010, under President, what's his name? Goodluck Jonathan. I placed the same matter on the table. Nobody could give me any answers to that. All I'm just saying is that when are we going to be totally digital? Because that's the excuse they gave. They said we were analog. And if you're talking about convergence and digitization, which is very key in communication and development, what is holding us back? Because that's the excuse they gave that what do you call that, altered the arrangement that they had. And up till today now we're still, and that's been my lifelong ambition, not to be on GoTV or DSTV, but my own television station.
Remember guys, it's still at Unilag on TV.
That's right.
All social media platforms.
Yes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that is. And you can as well go with the latest in town, TikTok. You go there and do some TikTok about what's happening and what's been and whatever you think is getting you talking around the Nigerian social media space. Nigeria's, media folklore, anything you think is getting talking, I will be there. Fifth estate on Relm, yeah. You can take the conversation there and we'll be here to take all of your comments and opinions and of course respond to them as swiftly as soon as we can. My name is Bayo Salah. Let's say a big thank you to everybody who's actually been around to actually part of this live transmission of one man we all respect in the academia and of course beyond the academic space. He has been able to actually bring together, a collaboration of sorts. A collaboration that yielded many fruits between the town and the gown, and we are indeed proud to be associated with Professor Akinfeleye. The existence of what we call today Unilag Television was his brainchild, because he said in the early 90s when we had the opportunity to speak with him, he had actually made that move to have what we call a vehicle for change, and we can say comfortably that it's been a springboard for emerging broadcasters and of course those who are interested in the field of journalism are more like. And we want to say a big thank you for everybody who's turned out to actually be part of this particular live transmission, to all our technical crew members and all the other guys behind the camera doing all a wonderful job, those pressing the right button from the MCL, my producer Afolabi Bikunle, and of course his assistant to Lobo Popola, and other guys, Victor, Ashe Walamide, every one of you. Josh, we want to say a big thank you, and of course the big man himself, Ovo. Thank you so much for being part of it. Let's say bye-bye now.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's exchange numbers.
you recall that in the immediate past, while the likes of many of you were in the university,